that was a rant and a half. But yeah, so that's, I think, the biggest misconception in terms of publishing. So if you're a regular viewer of this channel, you might have noticed that I haven't really put out many videos in the last few months. And for the most part, that is because I have been head down, laser focused on a bunch of really exciting writing projects in the last a while. Since May, I've had 6 book releases across multiple pen names. I've outlined 4 other books. I've started 2 more, and I've been plotting and working on a lot of just different things, different projects, different editing things. And I've been talking about that once in a while on my Instagram. And a number of you asked me questions on Instagram, and enough questions that I thought that I might make a Q&A about it and address it in just like a bigger video. Now, I have done Q&As before on this channel, but this Q&A is going to be specifically writing focused. I'm going to get into a lot of things about me personally as a professional writer, how I got into the business, how I earn money as a writer, and just sort of a little bit about how it works. So if you're interested in that, I hope that you enjoy this video. The first question I wanted to answer is, how did I get into writing professionally? And that is a bit of a convoluted tale. Now, I have been writing in some form since I was a child. I wrote my first book when I was about 15 years old. I participated in something called National Novel Writing Month, or NaNoWriMo. And the purpose of NaNoWriMo was that in 30 days, in the month of November specifically, you were supposed to write a 50,000 word novel, or at least 50,000 words of some sort of book. It didn't have to be a completed book at 50,000 words, and quite a few books are a lot longer than 50K, but you had to write at least 50,000 words in 30 days. And I've been sort of writing books since then, in part because I have to write stories or else like I will explode. I need to write. It's just like I have to, or else dire consequences upon my person. It's just something that I really enjoy doing, but it's more than I enjoy it. It's something that I love with such a strong passion that even if I weren't published, I would still be writing stories. I'd be publishing them for free somewhere, and that's sort of how I got into it. I joined a lot of writing spaces when I was younger. I was on forums, I was talking to people in chat groups, I was on mailing lists, and I was even like on LiveJournal way back in the day when LiveJournal was a thing, if anybody remembers that. Showing my age a little bit there, but I was in a lot of writing spaces, and I was making friends with a lot of writers in the spaces, many of whom that I admired, many of whom went on to publish actual books in a variety of different ways. And so how I specifically got into writing professionally was in 2015, a friend that I'd known for several years at that point, who was a little bit older than me and who wrote books that I adored her work. She had always wanted to be professionally published as well, and that was sort of a dream of hers too, but she wrote a lot of free fiction, all of which I devoured. And she had said that she was going to be applying to be in this anthology. And if I was interested, I could also apply to be in this anthology. And I thought that that was such a cool idea. I had previously to this, like, put authors kind of up on a pedestal of like this amazing, amazing being who can just like create stories and craft them, and then they get published and you read them. And it was just like, you know, mind blowing to me. And so I had never really considered that I too could perhaps maybe get a work published one day. And so I thought that it would be super cool to not only be published, but be in an anthology with a writer that I really admired. So I wrote a book for the anthology. We both got into it. We both got published. I still have the book, the physical copy. It's out of print now, but I still own it. You know, it's a thing I did. And from then on, it was a small press, by the way, a small independent press. And so from then on, I was just like, I could do this. I could actually publish the stories that I have just like burning inside of me. And so I continued to write, and I continued to get published in originally independent presses. I got published in, I think, 3 different types of, like several books across 3 different independent presses. And from there I started working my way up to bigger, more traditionally like big publishing houses. I got my first like big break like in 2017, 2018, because my first book in like a bigger press came out then. But actually since then, I primarily self-published. My books specifically are almost entirely just self-published. And that was a really long answer, so I'm going to go to the next question now. And the next question is, what is the biggest misconception that others have? Okay. So the biggest misconception that I personally feel about writing professionally is that traditional publishing is the only legitimate way to get published. And I think that is garbage. I think that is so wrong, and so also just like harmful to people who could otherwise have like a really good book published, but like it's just not something that a traditional publishing house wants to sell. There's so many people that like can't be traditionally published because the yes men don't want it. Like, you know, books by minorities, LGBTQIA books, any book that features a character who's not straight and white. Like, it's just, there's so many books, and I don't mean just like, I don't mean like romance, I mean fantasy, I mean sci-fi, I mean historical. Like, just the amount of books that wouldn't exist if they weren't self-published is so many. And I think that all stories should exist. Stories are just good. Like, the more stories, the better. And I don't even have to like those stories. Other people might like those stories. Personally, I don't like horror. I don't like book about serial killers. But those stories are super popular, and for some people, that's just the book that they want to read. So it's good that they exist. I primarily self-publish now. In fact, as of September, all of the books that I personally have published are self-published because I've been getting my rights back from the traditional publishers over the last several years, and I've just published them myself now. And every new book I write is published myself now. And yeah, you have to do everything yourself that way, but it's just so much better for me. I get more freedom. I get all the freedom because yes, I have to do everything myself, but I have all the control as well. And it's just the idea that if your book isn't traditionally published, it's not good or it's not legitimate is just, it's so wrong. It's so harmful because so many other books could exist if the person wasn't being stopped or stymied by not being able to be published traditionally. And that that was a rant and a half, but yeah, so that's, I think, the biggest misconception in terms of publishing is like okay, I'm done on the topic. The next question was, what do you actually write? Do you write nonfiction, fiction, what genre? And so I write across a variety of genres. I primarily write fiction. I primarily write contemporary fiction, though I have also written sci-fi. I have like a couple of sci-fi like epics and then some soft sci-fi that I've also written. I ghostwrite for nonfiction, and then I edit too. And most of the work that I edit is actually romance. Now that does really neatly slide into how do you actually earn money writing, and I know that this is probably the main question that a lot of people have, and I do wear a lot of different hats, I will say. So I publish my own books. As I said, I self-publish my own books. I also ghostwrite occasionally. I don't really do it that much anymore. I used to do it more, but it's not really something that I do a lot now. I do, however, outline and plot for other authors. So I have a number of clients who I write out the book for them in an outline, and an outline could be like 1,000 words for a short. It could be over 6,000 or 8,000 words for like an epic. And so I basically come up with the idea for them, and I write out exactly how it's supposed to go, and I give them the whole story, and then they write the book. They write the 100,000 word novel, and we go from there. And I also edit. I edit a lot of the books that I outline for. I also edit books that I have nothing to do with besides the editing process. As I said, a lot of the books I edit actually are romance, and a lot of the books I outline and plot are romance too, which I think is just like, I fell into that, and it's cool. I think it's fun. It's a very fun genre, and there's a lot of different like nuance to making a romance book good and like something people want to read, because oh my god, I've read a lot of bad romance. I've read a lot of not great romance, some of which I have improved upon because I've edited it, some that I read for research, some that are just not something that I can fix. I've had to turn down projects because I'm just like, this is not something that I can do anything with. I'm sorry. But yeah, so that's how I primarily earn money. Editing and outlining is like a big part of my income, but the biggest part of my income is my self-published work. And in terms of self-publishing versus traditional publishing, I can just say that because I've done both, is you also make more money self-publishing if you have the audience base and you have the readership, because traditional publishing, they take a large percentage. Usually traditional publishing, I would be earning 45 to 55%. Self-publishing, I earn 70% most of the time. And traditional publishing also, you get paid quarterly, which is very annoying because you're waiting every quarter for your paycheck, versus self-publishing where I get paid monthly. There is a delay for the payments because different platforms pay out at different times, but I get a paycheck every month. For instance, Amazon pays every 60 days, but they pay you out the previous 60 days ago that month. So whatever I earn in January, I get paid out in March. Then February, I get paid that out in April. March, I get to pay that out in May. So I'm always earning money every single month, and I'm making money every single month. It's just that I get paid from the 2 months ago earnings, if that makes sense. In terms of how I earn money through Amazon and self-publishing, I publish through 2 different platforms. I publish wide and I publish exclusively on Amazon. Wide is when you publish through like a bunch of different platforms. You're on Apple, you're on Kobo, you're on Amazon, you're in libraries, which is very important and good. I do believe in being in libraries if possible. And then Amazon exclusive is Kindle Unlimited. Now I have many different pen names. I have quite a few. 2 of my pen names primarily are published wide, so I publish everywhere. And those pen names also, that means that they're in libraries, so like people can request my books and read them in a library or on Libby, or Libby is the digital library app, which I make a lot of use out of. Libby is a great app. If you want to read digitally, I would highly recommend Libby because library at your fingertips. It's great. Anyway, moving on to Amazon. Kindle Unlimited is the exclusive reading app that you can do on Amazon. So what it is I have a membership myself, is that you purchase a membership for Kindle Unlimited and you pay, I think it's $11.99 a month to get all access to every KU book, period. And so in KU, the author is exclusive to Amazon. They're not allowed to publish on any other platform. So it's only a KU book. And so people can buy the book for a set price to get it if they're not part of Kindle Unlimited, or they can read the book in Kindle Unlimited, kind of like checking a book out of a library. So you can check the book out, read it on Kindle Unlimited and return it, or you can buy the book for a flat fee of like $5.99 or whatever to get the digital book in your library forever. So if somebody buys a book from me on Amazon and they pay like $5.99 for the digital copy, I get 70% of that $5.99, which I think is honestly pretty good considering that in traditional publishing you're getting like 45% maybe. In Kindle Unlimited, if somebody checks your book out of the KU library, you're getting paid per page read, and that's fractions of a penny. So for every page read that a person reads, I get something like 0.0035 cents. So in order for me to get 3 cents, they have to read 10 pages essentially. If they read 100 pages at 0.0035 cents, I'm getting $3.50. And if they read 1,000 pages at 0.0035, you see what I mean? So the more pages that somebody reads, or the longer your book, the more books that they read of yours, and the more pages they read, the more you make. So if I, for instance, have 20 books and 1,000 people each read all 20 books, I'm making that amount of page reads from Kindle Unlimited. And I'm not going to do the math because I'm really bad at math on the fly, but you can probably figure that out. If I have 20 books and they're read by 10,000 people in a month, that's the money that I'm making in that month. And that would be a pretty good month for me. Again, I'm not doing the math, but I think that would probably be a pretty good month if 10,000 people read 20 of my books. Obviously, that isn't what happens every month. My income does fluctuate a lot from month to month because sometimes I get a lot of downloads and a lot of page reads. Sometimes I don't get as many. It is really nice though, because Amazon pays every 60 days, I know exactly what I'm getting 60 days from now. I know what I'm getting 30 days from now. And then after that month, I know going forward what to expect. And that's just, it's a nice bit of stability in terms of, yes, your pay fluctuates, but if you know that in 2 months' time, you're getting $6,000 versus $10,000 versus $3,000, you can better kind of prepare and plan for in 2 months' time what you need to be doing with whatever money you get. That sounded more complicated than it actually is. It isn't really that complicated. Amazon is pretty good, is that it gives you day-to-day like totals about what you earn. Like you earned $100 today. You earned $89.89 today. You earned $300.42 today. So you can see throughout the month how much you're earning for that month, and then adjust accordingly if you want to do different types of marketing, if you want to do additional promo, if you have another book coming out. You kind of get to learn the intricacies of how that works as you kind of publish on the platform. The other platform I publish on, the way that I go wide is through draft to digital, D to D, and that is where you can publish books and draft to digital for a percentage of your earnings will publish across different platforms like Barnes & Noble's, Kobo, Kobo Plus, Overdrive, which is the library app. But again, if I publish wide, I cannot put my book into Kindle Unlimited, so people can't check my book out of the Kindle library. They can only purchase it for a flat fee on Amazon. Now, as I said before, with self-publishing, you do have to do everything yourself. You have to do all of your own promo and marketing. You have to do the book formatting. You have to write your own covers. You have to pay for translations or audiobooks yourself. But the way that it works for me is over the years, I've laid enough groundwork for that to be doable. I have the income that I make that I can then purchase a cover or purchase a translation, knowing that I will most likely make my money back in profit. And I do have loyal readers who buy my books, who review and recommend my books, talking about them in different circles, which helps other readers, new readers, find me. So it kind of builds upon itself. The more that you write, the more that you publish and produce, the more likely you are to get readers, because the more books you have out there for people to find and see and hopefully enjoy. So it just sort of builds upon itself, and that's kind of a little bit of a base of how everything works for me. And I hope this was interesting to you. I know that it's a little bit of a deviation from my usual luxury content, but a couple of people did ask, so I thought I'd answer. Final thing I do want to say is that I've had people reach out to me very, very nicely to ask what I write specifically, like my pen names, what my books are called, so they can read them and buy them themselves to support me. And I do keep my books entirely separate from my luxury content, so I don't do the crossover at all. I just find it a little bit weird. Again, thank you so much. I hope that you enjoy other books, and you might read mine one of these days. I don't know, but I like to keep my pen names separate, you know? Like, I don't tell all people about all my pen names, and I just like to keep them separate. But I hope that this was interesting to you. I hope that this was some information that maybe you didn't know that was fun to learn. And if you have any other questions, or you would like me to make a follow-up video with anything else that you are interested about, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like. It super duper helps the algorithm, and subscribe for more content by me that helps the algorithm even more. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.